I'm just a regular guy. But what happened to me, you wouldn't believe. By the end of this story, you'll see how a man can lose everything and still rise again. I grew up in a family where loyalty meant everything. My old man always said, Danny, a man's only as good as his word. I lived by that. When I give my heart to someone, I give it all. That's where Emily came in, Emily Parker, the girl who turned my world upside down. I was 25 when we met, just figuring life out. She was 23, fresh out of college, working at a small bookstore. First time I saw her, she was behind the counter, hair tied back, glasses slipping down her nose, laughing at something a coworker said. When she caught me staring, instead of shying away, she smirked. You gonna buy something, or just here for the free view? That was Emily, sharp, playful, fearless. I was hooked. Took me 3 visits before I finally asked her out. She said yes, and soon Emily Parker was the center of my world. Fast forward 2 years, we're standing in a little church outside Columbus. No big wedding, couldn't afford it. My mom made the centerpieces, my brother borrowed chairs. My buddy Mike nearly fainted giving the best man speech. But it was perfect. Emily walked down the aisle in a simple white dress, and I thought, this is it. This is the woman I'll spend my life with. I meant every word. Those early years were golden. We bought a tiny 2-bedroom house on the west side. Old floors that creaked, a faucet that wouldn't stop dripping. But it was ours. I felt proud bringing home every paycheck. Emily made it a home, plants in corners, candles on shelves, photos of us everywhere. She'd meet me at the door, arms crossed, smiling like I was her hero. Those were the happiest days of my life. But here's the truth. Marriage isn't a fairy tale. Bills keep coming, work hours stay long, slowly, without noticing. The sparkle fades. I brushed it off at first. I told myself it was just life. We were adults now with responsibilities, with stress. But if I'm being real with you, deep down I knew something wasn't right. I just didn't want to face it. And that's where my story really begins. Now, every story's got a turning point, right? That moment where you look back and think, yeah, that's where things started to go wrong. For me, it was subtle at first, very noticeable. Like a hairline crack in a windshield. Doesn't look like much in the beginning, but give it enough time, and that crack spreads until the whole damn glass shatters. Emily started working late, said her firm was busy, especially around tax season. I didn't think twice about it at first. She was ambitious. She was good at what she did. Hell, I was proud of her. I'd pack her lunches, tell her to drive safe, kiss her on the forehead before she left. That's the kind of man I was, loyal to the bone. But little things started adding up. She'd come home later and later, sometimes after 10. Her excuses always sounded rehearsed, and she'd smell different. Not her usual lavender shampoo or that vanilla lotion she liked. No, it was cologne, strong, musky, a scent I didn't recognize, and sure as hell didn't belong on my wife's clothes. She got secretive too. Her phone, which she used to leave on the counter, was suddenly glued to her hand. She started locking it with a code I didn't know. And when I'd walk into a room, she'd flip it face down. Now I ain't the jealous type, never have been. But when a woman you've loved for over a decade starts hiding things from you, you feel it in your gut, and my gut was screaming. One night, I tried to bring it up, real gentle. We were sitting at the table, half-eaten some takeout she'd picked up on her way home. I said, you been distant lately. You tired of me or something? She laughed, waved it off, told me I was being dramatic. Said I was working too hard, losing my mind. But her eyes, she couldn't even look at me straight. and that cut deeper than any words. After that, things only got colder. The bed felt like a wall between us. I'd roll over, reach for her, and she'd shift away and mutter something about being exhausted. Days turned into weeks, and the woman I once thought I knew better than myself started feeling like a stranger under my roof. And still, I held on. 'Cause that's what you do when you're married, right? You fight for it. You don't just walk away. So I swallowed my doubts, told myself maybe I was imagining it. But late at night, staring at the ceiling while she pretended to sleep beside me, I knew I just didn't have the proof yet. And then, one night, I found it. One message. Just one. But it was all I needed to know my life was about to fall apart. It was a Tuesday night. Nothing special about it. I'd gotten home early from a job site 'cause the rain shut us down. Figured I'd surprise Emily, maybe cook her favorite pasta, try to bring a little spark back. But when I walked in, the house was dark. No note, no text saying she'd be late, just silence. I cleaned up, turned on the TV, tried to wait it out. By the time the clock hit 10:30, she still wasn't home, and something in me snapped. I ain't proud of it, but I grabbed her phone off the counter. She must have been rushing that morning 'cause she forgot to take it with her. First time in months it wasn't glued to her hand. My hands were shaking as I unlocked it, or tried to. She'd set up a code, but here's the thing about trust. It leaves patterns, and I knew hers. Took me 3 tries, and then, there it was. The screen lit up, and right there on top, a message from a number I didn't recognize. My stomach dropped before I even opened it, and when I did, God help me, I swear I felt my chest cave in. It said, "Last night was incredible. Can't stop thinking about you. When can I see you again?" I must have read it a dozen times, hoping I'd somehow misread it. Maybe it was a wrong number. Maybe it wasn't what it looked like. But then I scrolled up. There they were. Weeks worth of messages. Flirting, laughing, macking plans behind my back. Pictures I can't even bring myself to describe. And every word, every damn word, felt like a knife twisting deeper. I sat there in the dark, staring at that phone like it was a bomb that just went off in my hands. My wife, the woman I'd sworn to love, honor, protect, was sneaking around with another man. And not just some fling. This was emotional, intimate, the kind of thing you don't come back from. When I finally heard the door creak open, it was past midnight. Emily walked in, smelling of cheap perfume and somebody else's cologne. She looked at me sitting there with her phone in my hand, and for a split second, her face went pale. She knew I knew. But instead of breaking down, instead of confessing, she had the nerve to get angry. Said I had no right to go through her phone. No right. Can you believe that? Like I was the criminal here. Like her betrayal was less important than my curiosity. I didn't yell, didn't scream, didn't throw a single punch, even though my blood was boiling. I just sat there, numb. She tried to talk her way out of it, said it was harmless, just flirting, nothing serious. But I'd seen enough. You don't tell a man last night was incredible if nothing happened. I ain't stupid. I knew what she was doing. And that night, in the silence between us, I felt something die inside me. Something I thought would never come back. That was the night I stopped being her husband and started being a man plotting his next move. You ever had one of those nights where you don't sleep a damn wink, just lay there, staring at the ceiling, wondering how the hell your whole life flipped upside down? That was me. Emily slept right beside me, or at least pretended to. I could hear her breathing, steady and fake, like she was trying too hard. And me, I just lay there, holding on to the last bit of sanity I had left. By morning, I knew I couldn't keep it bottled in. I walked into the kitchen, poured myself some coffee, and waited for her to come down. She shuffled in, hair a mess, acting like nothing was wrong. That right there, that fake normal, it almost broke me. So, I just said it, plain, straight, no sugarcoating. "Who is he, Emily?" He froze, didn't even reach for the coffee, just stood there, eyes wide, lips parting but no words coming out. Then, like she rehearsed it, she shook her head. "Danny, you're imagining things. You're paranoid." But I wasn't buying it. Not anymore. I slid her phone across the table. The open messages lit up like a confession signed in blood. Her face went white. She tried the whole denial routine. Said it was just texts, nothing physical. Said she was lonely, that I was working too much, that she just needed attention. And I'll admit, that one stung. 'Cause I had been working long hours, busting my back in the heat and the cold, all to give us a good life. And the thanks I got, a wife who gave my love to somebody else. Finally, she snapped. She slammed her hand on the counter and said, "You're not enough for me, Daniel. You never were." Just like that, cold, heartless, like every year we spent together meant nothing. And that was the moment something inside me cracked. I didn't yell, didn't throw the mug in my hand. I just stared at her, dead in the eyes, and said, "Then why the hell did you marry me?" She didn't answer, couldn't. She just walked away, leaving me standing there with the pieces of our marriage scattered around me. And in that silence, I felt it, anger, sorrow, humiliation, all boiling together into something new, something sharp. For the first time, I realized I wasn't just the victim in her story. No, I was about to become the author of my own damn ending. That was the breaking point, the last straw. The day Daniel Carter stopped being the naive, loyal husband and started laying the foundation for a revenge she'd never see coming. When people talk about heartbreak, they make it sound poetic. Songs, movies, books. They dress it up like it's some beautiful pain you learn from. Let me tell you something. There ain't nothing beautiful about sitting alone in a house that used to feel like home, staring at walls that still got pictures of a woman who ain't yours anymore. Heartbreak. It's ugly. It's gut-wrenching. It makes a man question every damn thing about himself. After that fight in the kitchen, Emily didn't even try to hide it. She started coming home later. Sometimes not at all. Said she was staying with friends. Yeah, right. I knew what she was doing, who she was with, but I didn't have the strength to throw her out. Pathetic, right? A grown man begging in silence for a woman who already chose somebody else. That was me. I stopped eating right, couldn't sleep, went to work with bloodshot eyes and a heart that felt like it was beating, just to torture me. My buddies on the crew asked if I was okay, and I'd just laugh it off, say I was tired. But truth was, I was hollow, a shell of myself. I'd come home to that damn squeaky-floored house, and every creak reminded me of her laughter, her touch, her lies. It was killing me from the inside out. One night, I walked past the mirror and barely recognized the man staring back. Hair a mess, stubble thick, eyes sunken in. I looked weak, broken, and I hated it. That's when something snapped inside me. Not like the anger from before. No, this was colder, sharper. I told myself, Danny, she already took your heart. Don't you dare let her take your soul too. I started thinking about every sacrifice I made for her. The overtime shifts, the busted back, the dreams I put on hold just so she could have what she wanted. And now, she was out there giving her love to some other guy while I sat alone like a fool. That's when the idea hit me. If Emily thought I was weak, if she thought I wasn't enough, then I was gonna show her just how wrong she was. Not with fists, not with screams, but with patience, with power, with revenge she'd never see coming. See, the thing about a man who's been pushed to the edge is this: once he realizes he's got nothing left to lose, he becomes dangerous. And I was ready to rebuild myself from the ground up, not for her, not even for the other guy, for me, for Daniel Carter. And when I was done, when I stood tall again, they were both gonna wish they never underestimated me. Life has a strange way of testing you. Just when you think you've found your rhythm, it throws another storm your way. For a while, after leaving my uncle's house, I felt peace. My small job, my tiny rented room, the simple meals I cooked for myself, it was all mine. No one controlled me, no one insulted me, no one reminded me of my so-called worthlessness. But peace never lasts forever, does it? One evening, while returning from work, I passed by a marketplace. People were gathered around a news board, whispering, pointing, gasping. Curious, I pushed my way through, and then I saw it. It was my uncle's name, printed in bold letters. He was being accused of fraud, embezzling money, cheating business partners, and ruining lives. The same man who had called me a burden, a disgrace, and good for nothing, was now branded a criminal in front of the whole town. I didn't laugh. I didn't cheer. I just stood there, silent. My heart was calm, almost too calm. For years, I had dreamt of this moment, a mighty uncle brought to his knees, the arrogant cousins hiding their faces in shame. And yet, when it finally came, I didn't feel revenge. I felt justice. The whispers around me grew louder. He fooled us all. I trusted him with my savings. How could a man do this to his own people? And in that moment, I realized something. Revenge isn't always about doing something. Sometimes you just wait, and life does the work for you. But here's the twist. Life wasn't done with me yet. That same week, I received a letter, a real letter, sealed and signed. It was from a law firm. At first, I thought it must be a mistake. Why would lawyers contact me? But no, it was real. My uncle's property, the very house where I was treated like dirt, the business I was never allowed to touch, was now under investigation. And guess whose name was tied to it? Mine, my late father's investments. The ones my uncle had stolen years ago were now being traced back. Suddenly, I wasn't just a poor boy with a rented room. I was someone with a claim, a rightful heir. The irony made me smile. The house where I once wasn't allowed to sit at the dinner table might now legally belong to me. But here's the question I asked myself that night. What would I do with this power? Would I use it to destroy him further? Or would I rise above it all? Because the real revenge isn't just taking back what's yours. The real revenge is living so well that the ones who doubted you choke on their own bitterness. This was no longer just about survival. It was about transformation, about becoming the man I was always meant to be. And that's when I decided my uncle's downfall would not be the end of my story. No, it would be the beginning of my rise. The day finally came. The court's decision was final. My uncle's empire was no longer his. The lies, the fraud, the fake respect he had built for years, all stripped away. And in that same ruling, my name was announced as the rightful heir to the property my father had once invested in. The same uncle who had mocked me for eating scraps at his table now stood in the same courtroom, eyes down, broken. His sons, the ones who once bullied me, avoided my gaze, hiding their shame. I walked past them, not with arrogance, but with dignity. I didn't need to shout. I didn't need to remind them of their cruelty. My existence, standing there as the victor, was enough. That evening, I stepped into the house I had once called a prison. The big iron gate creaked open, and I walked inside, not as a servant, not as a burden, but as its owner. Memories hit me like waves. The corner where I used to sit with an empty stomach, the hallway where my cousins pushed me aside, the dining table where I was never allowed to sit. But this time, I pulled out the chair at the head of the table and sat down, not with anger, not with revenge burning in my chest, but with peace, because true revenge isn't shouting. It isn't fighting, it's sitting where they said you would never belong. The neighbors came, whispering in disbelief. The same community that once saw me as the poor orphan now looked at me with respect. They didn't pity me anymore. They admired me, and my uncle. He was left with nothing but regret. The wealth he worshipped had crumbled. The pride he carried was shattered, and the family he once ruled now followed my lead. But here's the sweetest part. I didn't throw him out. No, I gave him a small room at the back of the house, the same way he once shoved me aside, because revenge is not always about destroying someone. Sometimes it's about making them live long enough to taste the bitterness of their own choices. I built something greater with what I inherited. I started businesses. I gave jobs to people who needed them. I helped orphans who were just like me. And every time I walked through that grand hallway, I smiled. Not because I had taken everything from him, but because I had become everything he told me I could never be. And that, my friend, is the last laugh.